Hey ladies, thanks for coming to join me. Today we're going to talk about the evolution of how I started as a fat kid with braces and then turned into the number one online dating expert in the country. We're going to walk through my three epic failures in dating and then roll right into the nine most asked questions in regards to online dating so that you can leave here as online dating experts with skill sets that really no one else has. All right, so let's hop into it. So it all started when I was 16 and I was fat. I had braces and I had glasses, and literally no woman was interested in me. I went to high school and there was about 100 women in my class, and literally none of them were interested in me. I tried to get someone to date me, and no one would. And I was really looking for love. I remember watching the movie Aladdin, and I remember the scene where you remember the magic carpet ride where, he's with Jasmine and he goes, I could show you the world. I remember thinking love seems so great and that feels so powerful. And that was the first emotion and draw I had to romance and a relationship. So I really wanted that. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it for months, maybe a year. So eventually I got on AOL Instant Messenger. And back then you could reach out to strangers and say ASL, which meant age, sex, location. And the person I reached out to claimed they were a 16-year-old girl that lived about 30 minutes away. I was like, great. So we talked for a month, and eventually we met at the Bridgewater Mall in New Jersey, and she actually was a 16-year-old girl. And eventually we started dating, and that was amazing. I got my first girlfriend, and it was a wonderful experience. Now, the first thing I had to overcome was my insecurity around being fat with braces and glasses. So, somewhat mission accomplished. Fast forward, I get very good at dating, and then around 24, I fall in love. And I thought I was going to marry this woman. And she then moved to where I lived and started cheating on me with one of my very close friends. So I was crying my eyes out. And finally, I picked up a copy of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and quickly realized I didn't understand women at all. So my second flaw was not understanding the psychology of women, the differences between men and women, and how to communicate to women. Namely, my biggest issue was when women or when my girlfriend had problems, I would immediately go into problem solving mode instead of being a supportive boyfriend that was capable of listening and hearing her, instead of just like, I'm the big man, I know how to solve it. Not so helpful. So I had to learn how to understand women. Fast forward, I've now started my company and I'm in my 30s and I get engaged. And I'm so excited. I bought her a big diamond, and my company is probably 5, 6 years old. And I share it to my whole social media following, which is probably about 100,000 people at that time. And I'm like, this is it. My business is going to blow up. I'm getting married. Everyone loves it. 8 months later, I end that relationship. And then after 6 months of reflecting, I finally realized my problem was I had no boundaries and I was a people pleaser. So once again, I had some more lessons to learn before I could be successful and in love. All right, so fast forward. I've solved a lot of my issues. I'm a more complete man. And then I go on Hinge and I meet the lovely Paige. And now we've been together for over 2 years and have an amazing relationship. So I think I finally got it figured out. Of course, I'm reserving the right to continue to grow and continue to learn. So how did I become an online dating expert? It all started when I saw my soccer coach in his silver Z3 with two dates a week, two beautiful women. We'd see him around town cruising around with a new beautiful woman. And so in my 20s, mid 20s, we finally sat down with him and we're like, how the heck are you getting so many dates? And my soccer coach basically was James Bond. He had the English accent, he had the silver Z3 from GoldenEye, and he was going on 2 dates a week like clockwork whenever he wanted to. What are you doing? And that's when he taught me the strategy. And we took that strategy and then started teaching it to people. And we were getting 83% of people in a relationship. We got 7 people married before we even started a business. And we're like, we're on to something. So much so this got me on the Today Show. And then Match, OkCupid, and eHarmony saw me on the Today Show. They reached out and they're like, no one is getting people into relationships at this rate. What the heck are you doing? I shared what I was doing, and in return, they gave me access to their data. And now moving forward, we've been using their data to totally optimize online dating, using our system to just help people find their partner. So what I want to do today is go over the 9 most asked online dating questions to give you folks a leg up on online dating so you can crush it. All right, so first question is, which online dating platform is the best for you and why? So if you're over 44, I would suggest Match.com. And if you're under 44, I would suggest Hinge if you're looking for a relationship. The reason we're going to use Match for over 44, ideally we would use Match for everything because in theory, Match should have more information. There's a more robust profile. So if we're going to window shop, we want as much information as possible so that we can get you on a date that most likely is going to end in a relationship and be a high quality man. Hinge is also known for relationships, so we would use that one. If you're under 44, because there's just more folks on the apps. But that's going to be ever evolving. So as more folks over 44 are getting on Hinge, we may have to go that direction for a bit. But the key here is finding a site with a lot of people on it and folks looking for a relationship that are high quality. Right now on Match, it's 88% college educated, business professional. So there's a higher caliber of folks on Match.com. How should you choose your profile photo? This is so freaking important. Even though, we should be choosing based on values and compatibility and all these other things, the way online dating is constructed is like right now, over 95% of our decision is based on pictures. So we can't change what that is. We can only work within the constructs of what people are doing, at least on them choosing you side. So it's so important that we have good pictures. I always joke that you could have Shakespeare written in your profile, but no one's going to read it if you don't have a good picture, which is entirely true. So the most important thing about your picture is you want your face, to make up 8 to 15% of the surface area of the picture. So if this is the whole picture, this makes up 8 to 15%. To make things easier, that's like a 3/4 length picture. So from your knee to a little bit above your head, you want all of your profile pictures to be basically 3/4 length. A lot of folks out there are going to tell you need a headshot. That is 100% wrong information. Headshots will make you perform worse. When I used to do presentations on PowerPoint, I would have a picture of Keira Knightley really close to the camera, and you'd see all of her pimples. And even Keira Knightley looked kind of bad when you got really close to her face. So the key here is 3/4 length pictures. Your face makes up 8 to 15% of the surface area of the photo. So a good distance from the camera is going to perform so much better than the camera close up. What should you include in your dating profile? The key here is trying to be authentic and vulnerable as best you can and specific. For a framework, I like to do, since no one knows what to write in these, 6 things I can't live without. And then, for example, you could say Google Maps, because I love to, go to restaurants that are 4.5 and above. That's one of my favorite activities on a Sunday afternoon. So you don't want to just say like, oh, my iPhone, and leave it at that. You want to kind of explain like a very specific piece in it that you use, and so that someone can get to know you. So in that scenario, you're like, oh, it's a foodie. Excellent. All right, question 4. How much time per week is ideal for effective online dating? So once we teach you my system, which we're going to do shortly, you're only going to do 30 minutes 3 times per week. So for an hour and a half of online dating a week. This is very intentional. We don't want you to burn out. Online dating can be soul-sucking, if you will. So we want to make it as fun as we can and not as time-consuming. I know folks that have spent 20 hours a week, anywhere from 5 to 20 hours. That sounds awful. We want you to have a life, but also get some dates. So number 5, how can you be successful with just 1.5 hours of online dating per week? Well, I want to go into what I learned from my soccer coach. We called it the Bond method, as in the James Bond method, because my soccer coach was James Bond. But then I also renamed it and the methodology to be called 50-12-1. And so what my method is we're basically asking out 50 guys. So we're going to send a blast message to 50 different men saying, hey, would you like to go on a date, basically. And from that message, we know that on average, 12 people are going to say, yes, I want to go on a date. And so every time we send 50 messages, we get 12 options. And then I want you to select one to go on a date with that week. And we're going to repeat this 6 to 8 times. And usually using this system, you're going to find someone you like after meeting 6 to 8 men through 50-12-1. Does that make sense? Now, number 6 is, should women initiate conversations online? The answer is unequivocally yes. The great news about 50-12-1 is we're sending 50 messages as the woman. We're sending 50 messages asking a guy out. A lot of women are like, are you crazy? Like, I heard men are supposed to lead, men are supposed to chase. Like, it feels like I'm going into my masculine energy. Like, why am I doing this? Well, what we've discovered over the last 15 years is you actually do way better if you take some initiative up front. So if you send these messages, you're going to get 12 date options, and then you're going to go on a date. And I can promise you, the man doesn't even remember. I remember when I went to Nick and Isabella's wedding, Nick didn't even remember who sent the first message, but I promise you, I remember. Isabella sent the first message asking him on a date. And now they've been married and happy for the last 7 years. So it doesn't matter who sends the first message. But there is behavior we want to focus on after we're done with date 1, which we'll get into later. So question 7 is, what should your initial message say? Something like, hi, I hope you're doing well. How is your week going? When you get a free moment, let me know if you'd like to go on a walk sometime, Susan. And that's it. And you're going to blast that message 50 times. What was interesting is with all the data, we started testing messages. And we basically found out that it didn't matter what you said really. Like you could almost say like, I like pigs and get almost the same response rate as something well crafted. And so this it also only really works from women trying to date men. If it's a guy trying to date a woman, he has to write, it behooves him to read your profile and write something very specific. But for women sending to men, since men are not getting that many messages, this is almost as successful as crafting a really specific message. So this is the opening strategy that really works. If for some reason we're struggling, then we can, pivot to a different strategy. But this is kind of the catch-all that works most of the time. All right, question 8. How do you decide which men to respond to and meet in person? So we've got these 12 options, and you're trying to figure out who gets the coveted one date that week. So what you're going to do is actually the opposite of what other folks are doing. Most people are making decisions based on profile pictures. We're not going to do that. We're going to do 85% of our decision is made up of what their profile says. So does it sound like this is a good guy? Does it sound like he's emotionally available? Does it sound like he's a good communicator? Does it sound like he's got the same values as you? As best as you can decide. Does it sound like someone who piques your interest emotionally? And then you're going to do 10% of your decision is going to be based on your messaging back and forth. So if you've had a few messages back and forth, like, how does this feel? Does it feel good? Am I enjoying it? Does it seem to be somewhat compatible? And then only 5% is based on the picture. This is so important. What we found over the years is folks are getting married to people that are a 10 out of 10 compatibility and usually an 8 of attractiveness. And what we've also found is there was a study done back, I think, in the 80s where they had women look at men's yearbook pictures and rate them on sexual attractiveness on a 0 to 10 scale. And so a woman would rate a guy, let's say a 4, and then they let them talk to the man for an hour and then re-rate his sexual attractiveness. A 4, that they had a great conversation, a 4 could go to an 8, or a 4 where it's a terrible conversation, a 4 goes to a 0. So they found women can move men 4 full basis points on attractiveness just by having connection with him. So we don't want to leave out the men that at least initially, physically, on their profile pictures don't look that great because they may end up being an amazing man that ends up being a fantastic boyfriend, fantastic husband. So we do not want to rule folks out based on picture. So once again, 85% what they wrote in their profile, 10% their messaging, and then 5% on the picture. So you only rule out if they're like absolutely disgusting in their picture because it's only 5% of your decision making. And once again, we know that a 4, which, if we're using grades, a 4 is an F. That's a 40 out of 100. And think, even if they're a 6, that's a D minus. A D minus is not good. But a 4, a 5, a 6 can turn into an 8, 9, 10 based on personality. All right, number 9. What mindset is essential for the online dating process? So I was thinking about, I almost named my book this, like having no shame. And that's what this is. Everything stems around like I'm trying to fall in love and nothing else matters. So it's like hyper focused to like I'm falling in love. And because of that, it's like, all right, I'm going to send 50 blast messages. Like I don't care. And then we know that 38 of those people are not going to respond. No time is spent on the 38 that didn't respond. Like we don't care. We have no shame about it. And the 38 that didn't respond at some point, like maybe like 2 weeks or a month later, we might message them again. And people are like, what? Are you crazy? That's embarrassing. It doesn't matter. We don't have shame. We don't feel embarrassment. We just message these men because the sole priority is I want to fall in love and nothing else matters. Whatever I got to do to get there, I'm going to do. All right, so what else? The other pieces of this are you only want to go on 1 date a week. And it's vitally important. You don't want to burn out. I know people going on 2, 4, 5, 7 dates a week, and then they do that for like a month and a half, and then they're like, I'm over this. And there's no great people out there. It's just, we want to get strategic on who gets our time. The reason we only need to meet 6 to 8 men is we become selective. Like we may have 3, 4 options, 3, 4 viable options. And we've got to try to be discerning to get on one good date. Then the other piece of the mindset is our dates are never more than an hour and a half long. We want to go slowly. We want to see how a man behaves in between dates and how many dates he can get us on. If he's capable of, once a week taking you out for 6, 7 plus dates in a row, he probably likes you. So we want to see, can he be consistent? Can he text you, call you, take you on dates for an extended period of time? Versus if you do, date 1, date 2, and they're like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, he's really getting to know you a lot. And we know that the brain starts to lose capacity of around an hour and a half. So you don't really want to go past when you're starting to have degradation in your mental capacity. And the other thing is, like, if you go on a 5, 6, 7 hour marathon date, he gets tired just like you get tired. And do you want him leaving the date going, man, I'm exhausted? Or do you want him leaving the date like excited and being like, man, I can't wait to see her again and I can't wait to learn more? So it's so important that we keep him in this like excited state so that he wants to keep chasing you, keep being consistent, keep taking you on dates. Does that all make sense? All right, awesome. So those are the 9 questions. So if you execute 50-12-1, you're going to have a very successful online dating process. And now, folks, if you want, I'm going to have a code here so you can opt in. I'm going to offer complimentary vision sessions if you'd like to talk to me and see if we could help you out with this. So feel free to put in your contact information and we can set something up to have a free session and chat. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.